So up next, we're going to move into our next segment. There we go. So the next Achievements of Outstanding award go to two very different attractions. One that was plausible, famous, and well-known, and certainly a fantastic experience in a faraway land, and one that seems, quite frankly, impossible and I'm still confused by. So we're going to talk to both of these individuals and these teams because they've created the remarkable through their projects and through their collaborations together. So up first, we have, right here, we're going to go outward in this review here. So we have from Tokyo Disney Seas, the Senior Creative Director at WDI, Owen Yoshino. There he is. And we have Roger Gould, the Creative Director of Theme Parks at Pixar Animation. Welcome, Roger. And they're going to be presenting their award-winning repurposed attraction, Nemo and Friends, SeaRider. And for those that really know the park well, Storm Chaser. Okay, I wrote it back in the day. And we have from the Chimlong Water Park Group, we have Rainer Metzler, the Managing Director of, I don't want to mispronounce your company's name, sir. It's not even a chance of me getting it right.
Wiegand Melzer. Very simple.
Okay, Wiegand Melzer. And then from Chimlong Group, the General Manager of International Business Affairs, Mr. Chris Ho. Okay. And if you don't know what they're here to talk about, just wait, okay? All right, so we're going to start with our friends from Disney and Pixar. The floor is all yours, and here is your controller.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right.
Let me get my stuff out of the way. I'm doing a bad job of all of this, really. There we go. There.
Hello, I'm Owen Yoshino. I'm an Imagineer at Walt Disney Imagineering and the creative director of Nemo and Friends, SeaRider. Themed to the world of Disney Pixar films, Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, this indoor attraction at Tokyo Disney Sea immerses guests in the undersea world of these popular films by using a ride system that seamlessly blends glorious new visuals with a dynamic motion system adapted by its predecessor, StormRider, which opened with the park in 2001. Port Discovery is one of 7 ports of calls, or lands, within Tokyo Disney Sea Park. It's basically considered as the Tomorrowland of TDS with a Jules Vernean aesthetic. And the port's flagship attraction was StormRider, which was a motion-based simulator where a futuristic airplane, the StormRider, was dispatched from the Center for Weather Control into a huge storm to deliver a storm-dissipating explosive device called the Fuse. For those who have ridden it, it was a fantastic attraction and a real challenge for us to live up to. Though, it being almost 2 decades old, its popularity had declined, except for a number of devout guests that maintained its lowered attendance, And due to its dynamic motion, a level of thrill, it limited itself from being an absolutely family-friendly attraction. So when we're given the assignment of reinventing Storm Rider, we plan to either do a sequel of Storm Rider, or an attraction that featured The Incredibles, or Finding Nemo. The strength of the characters within Finding Nemo was a deciding factor for it to be the featured IP at Tokyo Disney Sea. Though we thought that it was the right choice, but it left us scratching our heads on how we'd be able to interject a film that didn't really feature humans or a place aside from the vast ocean and Dr. P. Sherman, the dentist, and his office in Darla. Within the Blue Sky phase, we went to Pixar Animation Studios to gather further reference on Finding Nemo, only to find out that they're working on a sequel, Finding Dory, which featured a society that involved humans caring for sea life. This gave us the advantage of creating a place. A branch of the Marine Life Institute featured in Finding Dory, within Port Discovery. The attraction's main objective was to create an experience that takes advantage of the unique setting of Port Discovery, create a memorable story that resonates with the guests while looking for opportunities to utilize Disney Pixar characters, and maximize the repeatability for all guests to increase guest satisfactory rating. When we do meet the characters, we didn't want to see them in a wide shot like this, but we wanted to see them more eye to eye, like this. But how do we get there? So, to explain how to get there, the story was unfolded within the pre-show space shown here, where the guests are welcomed to the Port Discovery's Marine Life Institute with a large display screen above a physical special effects set being the main focus. And the presentation went something like this. The Marine Life Institute has been engaged in a variety of research projects to inspire you to care for the ocean and its creatures. Today, as a part of our efforts, we're taking you on an amazing journey of undersea exploration. In the past, observing the ocean's inhabitants wasn't that easy. Scuba divers would scare the fish away. Submersibles were even worse. And even submersibles designed to resemble fish were frightening. So we thought, what if the submersible was the same size as the fish? And so the Marine Life Institute developed a new material called chisuminium. Chisuminium is equivalent, it's a Japanese pun of saying shrinkaminium. So this amazing material shrinks once electricity is applied, presenting the amazing SeaRider. A submarine fully constructed with chisuminium. Watch this model of SeaRider, just as the guests see it here live, as a physical set seen from both sides to demonstrate the shrinking process. Three, two, one. So, mind you that what you're seeing here is a video footage of the actual thing, but when you see it in real life, it's really Disney magic. I mean, that was it good?
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Excellent. But it's a big wow for the pre-show, so we set up the premise. And thanks to the wonders of chisuminium, the SeaRider safely shrinks along with his passengers inside. By using artificial intelligence, the SeaRider can behave friendly in a friendly manner with other fish without the operator present. The fish accept SeaRider as one of their own, allowing us to journey out and observe the undersea world like never before. So upon that presentation, the guests are led into two SeaRider cabins holding 122 guests each, with a front window display and 10 peripheral windows. The guests then will shrink within the SeaRider, with and within the SeaRider, to head out on their adventure into the ocean as a fish. On their journey, they'll discover Nemo and Dory, and that the fish can verbally communicate with you. Experiencing iconic places we recall from the film from a first-person perspective, and meeting a host of characters such as Crush, Bailey, and the chō kawaii nakko, that's super cute, adorable otters in Japanese. For a fully immersive 5-minute exploration of the undersea world. The guests experience this adventure not simply as an individual in a large group within a special submarine, but as Sheila, a brand new featured character, which Dory names us, within the Finding Nemo, Finding Dory universe. And now I'll turn it over to Roger to talk about the excellent collaboration we had.
Great. Thanks, Owen. So, I'm the creative director up at Pixar Animation Studios of our theme park group, collaborating full-time with people like Owen at Imagineering to bring our stories to life wherever that may be in a Disney park around the world. And when we go to make a film, we try, obviously, to make a film that we hope audiences will fall in love with and will enjoy. But what's amazing to us is when we get that response and that emotional connection that people form with our characters. So Finding Nemo obviously was a fantastic story to bring to Tokyo Disney Sea. And as Owen mentioned, at the beginning of the lifespan of the SeaRider project, we were early in production on Finding Dory, which was going to open up our world and make it even bigger. For us at Pixar, we want our audiences to love our movies, but the biggest honor we can get is when Imagineering calls them and says, hey, we want to turn that into an experience in one of our parks. And so we were absolutely thrilled when Owen said, hey, we'd like to take the world of Finding Nemo and go into it as the size of a fish. And actually, it was Owen who came up with this concept of shrinking to the size of a fish. And I originally said, well, there's no magic in the world of Finding Nemo. And he said, no, it's science. I said, oh, okay, that's okay. So thank goodness they invented Chisominium, very smart scientists at the Marine Life Institute. So the first thing we wanted to know was, how would that feel? So happily, StormRider was actually 2 separate cabins. So throughout the lifespan of our project, StormRider continued to run, and we would go over and use one of the cabins to go ahead and run tests. This is just a little test where we took footage from Finding Nemo, put it on that screen, and just sat in that cabin to feel, how did that feel? And it was fantastic to be the size of the fish. We absolutely bought into it. So now we had to ask ourselves, who did we want to spend time with? And really the heart of both these films are Marlin, Nemo, and Dory. So we knew they were going to really take us on this journey. But we also had all these fantastic new characters that we wanted to meet from the new film, and so many interesting places that we wanted to go. We knew we wanted to spend time in the coral reef. We wanted to go riding on the EAC. We wanted to experience what it would feel like to bounce on the jellyfish. And in the new film, we had this gorgeous kelp forest that was being developed, this amazing migration of the rays going throughout the ocean. And what was really fun when we put all of these different environments that we wanted to visit together, we came to realize that each one of them actually came with a unique style of movement. And so that meant that when we were going through the coral reef, we wanted this beautiful lyrical quality to our simulator base. But when we were riding on the AC, it was really like going on a roller coaster. And then we wanted to bounce on the jellyfish. The StormRider attraction was really, a thrill ride, and you're caught in the center of a storm. So a lot of what that simulator was about was delivering that quality. So we needed to find out, could that machine actually deliver the experiences that we wanted to have in SeaRider? And so we actually went and made very simple, rough cameras going through these 3 different environments of the reef, the EAC, and the jellyfish. And we went out and we actually programmed one of the cabins. And we were thrilled and delighted to find out that we really could pull it off. This machine could deliver on that. And particularly, it was amazing to be in a 122-seat cabin and feel like we were bouncing on these soft jellyfish. So we were thrilled. But one of the things we immediately noticed was that we were spending a lot of time looking at the tails of our fish. It's not a really great way to connect with somebody. Can you turn around, please? And so we said, the normal way we think about a simulator is that we're always moving forward. And we wanted to know, since this experience was about connecting with our characters, could we use the characters to motivate our camera work to feel like we were not only swimming forward through this three-dimensional world, but could we go sideways and could we go backwards? So we did this very early test that we actually took to the cabin in Tokyo and programmed, and we were thrilled to discover that as long as the characters motivated our motion, it felt completely natural. So of course, we could swim forward as you would expect in any simulator, but we could also go sideways, and we could go backwards, and we found that you didn't even question it. It felt incredibly natural. This was fantastic because it meant we were really going to be able to connect with our characters in a new way. The StormRider was a great experience. It basically had this one massive front window. And from the very beginning, we asked, how can we make this experience even more immersive? And so one of the first question was, hey, could we add windows along the side of this cabin? Again, as a rehab, there was really a question of where could it go? Could we fit this in? We actually did just a mock-up. You can see there are just little projectors strapped to the seats. There's foam core up there. But what was amazing, even just using this footage from Finding Nemo, that sense of immersion was heightened and felt fantastic. And so we went ahead and moved forward with installing those 10 side windows. This is actually test footage from our virtual space that we have at Imagineering, bouncing through the jellyfish and feeling that three-dimensional world really surrounding us. And as we brought that out into the field, it was fantastic to see how even all the light from those windows then really bathed the guests in these different environments. So it was really about what are all the things we can do to increase the immersion. We had this main window, we had these side windows, we had, of course, the ride motion, but we also had this fantastic score from Thomas Newman for both films. We had amazing surround audio that could really track those characters as we saw them swimming around in those side windows. We had what Owen designed as this propulsion lighting system, so that we believed that the SeaRider itself had kind of a breathing life to it. And then we even had ripple lighting so that the guests felt that they were being dappled by the light that was streaming in through these windows. And then we did have a water effect. We're not saying that there's springing a leak in the SeaRider, but there were a few moments that were really fun to startle our guests with a little bit of splash of water. So here's actually some of the final footage from the experience. And what was really fun is when we're making our movie at Pixar, we often say we don't actually know how to do them until we're done. I'm sure everybody can identify that in all of our projects, right? You only at the end you go, now I know how to do it. The great thing here was Finding Dory completed, and we rolled 90 artists from the movie onto our project and made another 11 minutes of the movie. So it was really, we were kind of at the perfect level of expertise to pull it off. This is us basically going on the field trip with Mr. Ray. And of course you feel that in the cabin, and we were always looking for those moments. And here you see we were swimming forward, sideways, and now going backwards. So we could really see those characters laughing. Yeah, I should mention, of course, this entire attraction. Oh yes, thank you, I like it too. This entire attraction we animated in Japanese. So we went and recorded all of the original voice talent from the film who were also just getting ready for Finding Dory, and then animated the entire production in Japanese, not as a dub. So happily among our 22 animators at Pixar, we had 2 native Japanese speakers, which was fantastic because I don't speak Japanese. So it was really fantastic to have their assistance. One of the other ways, the Tokyo Disney Resort has an incredibly heavy repeat audience. So early on, we talked about how do we help that repeatability and make this experience feel fresh. So we actually created a branching structure so that every time you ride, you actually get a different set of chapters throughout this experience. So there was kind of an A line, and we called it a B line, but in fact, every time you ride, it's a random collection of these chapters that go together. But what was really important to us from the very beginning was that these chapters should feel completely seamless. We were very inspired by Star Tours, but they have the lovely trick of being able to jump to light speed, and we clearly know that's a transition between one chapter and another. Here, the goal from the very beginning was that every single aspect of this should feel seamless. So any one experience on SeaRider should look like a continuous, complete movie, a complete simulator experience without any sense that you are actually jumping from one scene to another. That simple idea turned out to be incredibly complicated to actually execute because it meant that every discipline, animation, motion programming, music, lighting, effects, every single discipline had to be able to do this seamless blending. And it's this fantastic thing that when we pulled it off, the guests, of course, don't notice it. But you kind of want to, no, did you notice how you didn't notice any problems? No, you can't really say that. But it was really thrilling for us that we pulled that off. Here's a clip from later in one of the branches of the attractions with, yes, our very adorable sea otters who nuzzled our SeaRider, and we actually feel that. And then Well, another,
おお、みんな無事でよかった。パパ！ニモ！嘘だろ？行くわよ。手が焼けるやつらだ。よし、これで一安心。タッチプール、オープンしてくれよ。おい、触るな。やめてよ。シア。よし！タコタコ！すごい！おイエイイエイイエイ！
The minute we saw that touch pool sequence in Finding Dory, we said, that's going to happen to us. And it's amazing to be in that cabin and see that hand with those side windows grab us and feel like we were being lifted up. Actually, it was a review with Andrew Stanton, the director of both films, when he said, that little girl, that needs to be Darla. We're like, oh, that's good. She's scary. So, although we have these chapters to create this variety every time you ride, we also created what we called cameos. So in our finale, at our farewell moment in the attraction, we actually have half a dozen different characters that you may encounter saying farewell. So here's all of them playing together. Oops, where'd it go? Go back. So really what's so fun for us, when we make our films, we hope that if we do our job right, that the audience believes that the world doesn't end when the movie ends, right? The characters and their world continues beyond the boundaries of the film. And what's been so fantastic about this collaboration with Owen and the entire WDI team is that we actually got to make that a reality. We got to extend that story, and we, as an audience, for the first time, got to actually look eye to eye with these fish and spend this adventure together. Just really, really proud of this. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan. Oh. Sorry about that. The cutest thing in the world is a Japanese-speaking baby otter. That is the cutest thing in the entire planet, and I've seen a lot of sea life in my life. Okay, so up next we have, from Chimlong's Water Park in Guangzhou, we have Rainer and Mr. Chris. So you guys want to come up? The stage is all yours. There you go. Thank you. And this is for their outstanding attraction, the SlideWheel.
Okay, this is working? Sorry. Okay, now. First of all, I want to thank TA and I want to thank the jury that, okay, but this is not working, sorry. Okay. For the award we have received, and I want to use the next 15 minutes to explain why we deserve this award. I hope it works. With me on the stage is Chris Ho. Oh, this is a bit strange, sorry. General Manager of Chemlong Park, and my name is Rainer Melzer. I'm CEO of Wiegand Melzer. Okay, we start again, but I hope you remember what I said already. So, as I said, my name is Rainer Melzer. We are a company based in Germany. We are a manufacturer of water slides and attractions for water park, made from stainless steel and fiberglass. You will see some pictures now of projects that have been realized. All is manufactured in Germany. Mainly we do indoor, outdoor water parks, and Chris is representing Chemlong Water Park. I don't think that I have to explain Chemlong Water Park and Chemlong theme parks, safari parks, zoos, and with 35 million visitors a year, one of the biggest players on the globe, I think. So there was an idea in the year 2002 to 2012, sorry, by this young boy. His name is Mr. Fischer Jr. He had the idea. Actually, his father is from Switzerland, Swiss family, and he was a chemical engineer sitting in front of his computer doing his work. And there was some picture of like a DNA, I don't know, whatever that looked like, but the son said, that would be nice, being a water slide, never-ending water slide. And the father thought, okay, I'm smart, my son is smart, so let's make it a patent. That happened in 2013, and they made a patent of this attraction. And it looked very much like this at the beginning, so there was a general idea. There is like a horizontal axis, and something is rotating around this axis, and that should be a water slide. The patent was filed and granted in the year 2013. At that time, the Fischer family got in contact with some of the big players in the industry doing water slides. And as they were in Switzerland, we in Germany, same language close by, they said, okay, we met them and they said, okay, you get the license, please try to make this product work. And as you can see now, we did some models and we had a principal idea how this should work. We thought about first, maybe it is a body slide, and we thought, no, it must be bigger because everything rotating, you cannot stuck yourself in the body slide, and we need a higher capacity, it's big. So we thought about a bigger ride with 4-person raft, and then we thought it shouldn't be only one team inside, it must be more. So what you can see here, the green is one team, the orange is the second team, always 4-person in one raft, and all at the same time inside this attraction. Maybe, and then there was a third team, and we have like a system inside that has been calculated. It's like an Archimedes spiral that lifts you up at the end, so the entrance at the axis is on the same level. That was the idea in 2013. We thought, okay, that looks interesting, and maybe that somehow can work. Our calculations, German calculations said, yes, it can work. We built this model. Nobody really knew, is it realistic or is it just a big show for the trade shows? That was in Paris 2013 at the show, and I will never forget, I was there, and Mr. Michel, architect of Center Parcs, was standing there. I don't know whether he's here today now, I don't know. And was standing in front of the model, and it was rotating. We had a ball, and you put the ball inside, and 3 rotations, and the ball came out at the end. And it really worked. But he was standing there, and he said, Rainer, what are you doing? And I said, yeah, this is an attraction we are planning. And he said, that will never work. I mean, this is crazy. It cannot work. And I was a bit disappointed, and he left because he was an experienced guy. And then after 2 hours, I saw him standing there again in front of the model, and I said, Michel, what's up? You know what? I think it can work. It can work. I was very happy, you know, I was very happy. I thought, okay, if he says it can work, maybe it can work. So one show after the other, we developed the product. This was 2015, and what we realized that people really loved it. They said, wow, it's fantastic. Yeah, I've never seen that before. That's totally unique. And when will you build the first? And I said, yeah, I don't know. You can buy it. No, I will not buy the first. No, I will never touch this. How should I touch this? You know, it's totally crazy. But when you build the first and I come there and no accidents, then we will buy it. And I say, wait, but then it's too late. I don't have a water park in my garden, so somebody has to buy it. So we continued from show to show. The model was getting better and better. That was, I don't know, Orlando? Okay. I was in Singapore at the trade show, and Mr. McEwen passed by from Europa Park, and he said, you know, I know a guy. The guy might be crazy enough to build this. Give me a USB stick and I will travel. I meet him tomorrow or next week, and I will show him, and maybe that could work. So he met Mr. Su in Chemlong, and they called me 1 week after, and he said, Rainer, we have to go there together because they are interested. And I said, yes, okay, let's go there. So why I show this picture? Because this is something I learned in this project, which is maybe the biggest lesson. Mr. Su, after we met, he said, okay, maybe I buy this. I can think that could be the new attraction for the park, but I want to meet your family first. I want to know how they are. I was surprised. I said, okay, I come with my daughters. You see my daughters on your left. And we had a meeting in his private house, and they treated us like, I don't know, like the royal family. We saw all the parks. We had a wonderful apartment and perfect food, and really like totally the opposite to what happens in Europe. Where, no. I mean, what I wanted to say, we also treat people very good. But when you are a supplier, you can be happy when you get an appointment. And they just turned it around because we felt like a royal family. We were treated, but we were suppliers. And it was just wonderful. We spent 3 days. My only problem was on my way home, my daughter said, hey, Daddy, you keep on telling us how tough your job is, but it was fantastic. We were the first in all the rides. You had the best food, and they treat you like being the King of England. And you keep on telling us how tough your life and how tough your job is. And it took me some while to explain that it is not always like that. But what I learned is if somebody treats you like that, you feel like family, and the whole process of the whole project, you feel like this is part of family, and you have to do your always very best to fulfill what you promised. I think we would have also done it in the other way, but it helped a lot. So that was 2016, and in summer, and at the end of we decided where should we place it. That is Chemlong Water Park. So it should be in the center. You see it from the wave pool, and it should be the center of attention in 2018. In the end of 2016, Christmas, we had final negotiations, we shake hand, and the plan was in 1st of April 2018, so 14, 15 months later, it should be in operation. At that time, we didn't have all the engineering. Okay, we didn't tell it to Mr. Su, but we didn't have all the plans. But okay, more or less it was there. So it was quite tough. And Mr. Mack even told me, okay, if you promise, Rainer, you have to shake my hand, you can do it. And I said, oh shit. Okay, I shook his hand and said, yeah, we will manage it. And at that time, there was still some question marks, to be honest. So that was beginning of 2017. The agreement was we built this prototype and build it in Germany, test it, dismantle, and send it to China, and then we build it up. Engineering, first half year of 2017, and this is now the beginning of the prototyping in Germany in the factory. You see some details here. And then in July, we started the installation of the product. You can imagine you do a water slide. Normally you have a start and end point, you have steel structure, you have different reference points. You know you have to install your slide from let's say every 3-4 meters you have a reference point. When you do this kind of product, you don't know anything because it's okay, you have this frame, you have this big wheel, but you cannot pre-install the steel and later put the elements. It just doesn't work. You have to do it step by step. And the installation crew just doesn't know in which directions all the steel arms, beams, how does that work? So it was the first time, the first 2-3 weeks, nothing, it didn't work. And then they found the method of installing the whole thing. So this is in principle how the build-up was. We had then, as it was a project in China, you have to follow CSEI rules, safety inspections. So the total weight, as you can see, is 160 tons. It's 24 meters high, meter high. Imagine this hall three times higher, and this whole thing rotating. It's like a house rotating in front of you. So in principle it worked. We did the first testing and yes, it looked like everything was good. CSEI was there trying with us. Here you see the safety procedure inspections. They told us, okay, what happens if the wheel stops? People stuck inside, so we do these evacuation flaps. And then we did the first testing. Actually, the first testing was with dummies and GoPros. This is now, we knew the dummies were so far in one piece. So we did this testing with the helmet. In Chemlong, we don't need the helmet. There we needed the helmet because it was not finally certificated in Germany. You cannot run such an attraction. But you can see it's not, no artists here. It's the people, they like it, they smile. So we felt quite positive about the development of the product. The problem here, we only had like maybe 4 weeks for testing. We had to do 500 test runs for the CSEI. Means 500 test runs in an environment that was not a water park. So we had always to lift the raft back with the crane. It was quite difficult, the whole thing. But it worked, and we said dismantle, and we ship it to China. The installation process for us, this was, I think, maybe October, November, so the preparation of the site. We came beginning of January 2018, and we started the installation. I think, Chris, maybe you know that, I don't know what, I think nobody really expected that we would finish the project on April 1st. But after like mid of February, Chemlong realized, hey, the Germans are not so bad, so maybe they can make it. So they made even more pressure on us. We have been working day and night, as you can see here. And finally, by mid of March 2018, we finished. CSEI did the final testing, and everything was prepared for the grand opening on April 1st. The grand opening on April 1st, this guy, second guy right, is the Chinese gold medal winner in Pyongyang. The name, I don't know. You know? You don't know? Okay. I don't know. But he is the gold medal winner in ice skating, imported legs. The night before the grand opening, I had a nightmare. I woke up in the night and I said, okay, whole China is watching our slide tomorrow. And this guy comes out at the end and has a broken leg. That was my nightmare. It didn't happen, but I said, oh shit. 3 minutes left. 3 minutes? Okay. So that was my nightmare. We did the testing, you see we had this Bavarian beer and everything worked. We opened, after the first second we had a queue line that was 2 hours the whole day, and I was standing there and I felt like a small kid building up a very big attraction and everything, people were happy, and it was a dream come true. That is the queue line, it was just from the beginning that Mr. Su and Miss Su and the inventor and me, we did the big light show around the whole slide wheel. As Chemlong, I don't know who has ever experienced that, for the opening of the park with like 30, 40, 50, 60,000 people in the park. You can see there's a big light show, DJ there, and the slide wheel with all the illumination, sound and light fitting, and this is according to the lighting you have in the park. It was, I think it's perfect, and the marketing was done very much by the people, all making short videos of the slide wheel and sending it out by WeChat. I think that we had like 200 million Chinese people knowing the product after the first weekend. So, and this is now the final product. It is in operation since April 1st. One season has been finished. We had 583,000 riders going down. We have, it worked the whole season. We had some issues with the lightning. The rest was much better than I ever expected. We have 3 conveyor systems. It's synchronized in a way that every 30 seconds, one raft with 4 people will go in the wheel, And what you see on the left-hand side, the idea we had 2013, how the whole thing should work, is now reality. We have 3 different zones, orange, green, and purple, and I have to finish.
If you would.
Yeah, you said there is a timing. There is no timing. I cannot see anything. Okay, but it finished in 1 minute. So this is 3 teams going down, 1 team in the big river, and I think the video goes another 40 seconds, and then I'm done.
Thank you.
So that was our experience, and I hope you like it. And one day you go to Chamlong. And
Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
And in all fairness, we lost our clock, so it was kind of blind up here. Oh, I have a clock on mine too. Look at that. Okay, so real quick, I will manage it this way. So, gentlemen, I mean, we talked about the last panel, what I would call that panel, and this panel is definitely the panel of reinvention and pure invention. And you heard some really interesting words coming out of both groups of the winners here. Words like, maybe it will work, let's go try, let's prototype some film and see, can we bounce on a jellyfish? Will it go around? Will people be able to evacuate in case you lost power? I was glad to see the access hatches. And so you really see now TEA creating and making the new and reinventing the old, which is a very key component of our organization and what we're about for the guests. So a big round of applause before questions for these gentlemen. Well done. And we're going to have some Q&A. I'm sure there's tons. Where do you want to start? Anybody? Or was I wrong? Who was the first human being to go into the slide wheel?
Still alive?
Yeah?
Yes.
One of your steel workers?
No, it was one of the installation crew.
Okay, good. That's great.
Actually, yes. We did, so one by one. We started with 1, then with 2, with 3, with 4, and yeah, it worked.
And then, just because Chris Ho hasn't said much today, I do have a question for you. How hard was it to take the leap to do something brand new for your water park?
So it's about decision making, right? That's a very good question. So you talk about the dinner. Oh, that's the dinner, right? It's very impressive for you. Basically, when we want to buy a ride or a product, we probably need to think about 2 major factors. One is the product itself. The other is the people you're going to deal with. So for our owner, Mr. Su, his focus is more, when they first see the product has the potential, and then his focus about the people. So we got to evaluate the ride, the product, like things like, is it safe? Is it reliable? Is it unique enough? Innovative enough? So that's very technical. And also we got to evaluate the capability of the team and the manufacturer. But there is one mostly important factor is how trustworthy the people you're going to deal with. And we can Melza, right? Yes. Do I pronounce correctly? Yeah. This manufacturer we've never done business with before. And we didn't know there's such kind of a vendor in Germany. And I think our chairman, the way he thinks about it is very simple. Think about the story. A little boy, Swiss boy, he has an idea, a dream. And this guy, he doesn't say that, oh, kid, you are gonna be kidding me. You have no idea how this works. Go back home. He doesn't say that, right? And he didn't say this. And he didn't say that, oh, good concept. I'll think about it. Go back home, I will give you an answer. So that's another way politely to reject people. Their team, they look at it, they think about it, take it very seriously. And they're actually trying to do it. They take the one big step, and I think we take another step. So Mr. Sumi, your family, with you. So you guys build up the trust, and the things we figure out by ourselves.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's grab some questions.
Hi, it's a 2-part question. First, about the Swiss kid. Did he go on the ride, Did he love it? Did he hate it? That's the first part. Second is all those people who said that they would order one after.
What?
How many more of the slide wheels will we see?
Okay. This kid, the problem was he was 9 when he had the idea. It took us some time to make it work. So he was old enough to try the ride. He liked it very much. He was very proud. He was at the opening ceremony. And yeah, you saw him on some of the pictures. And I think he's still very proud. They get a license. So he actually brought a lot of money in his family as well. So it's also a good aspect, I would say. And we have actually 3 more to come, slide wheels. And we have made lots of offers. And yes, I think there will be a future of the product. And the future will also be, for us, it is a new dimension of a water slide. It's not static, it's something rotating, moving, totally new. Nobody expected that it will ever work. So now we can work on slide wheel 2.0, 3.0, make a smaller one, make a bigger one, make different options. So I think it will be a big future for water rides.
Same side of the room. Oh, trouble roll.
Hi. I'm nice. Come on. This is for Roger and Owen. I just rode SeaRider like a month ago, and being grabbed and nuzzled by otters is probably a life highlight, just so you know. It's super adorable. The ride is amazing. I'm curious about the change to a more family dynamic for that ride, because it very much is, and it's so wonderful and gentle. Was there any physical change to the ride vehicle? Did the height requirement change for the ride when you changed it?
Yes, the height requirement got lowered, and we actually, it was a lot more active originally when we were in the testing mode of the attraction. But we had talked to OLC, Oriental Line Company, and they wanted the height limitation to even go further than what we had originally speculated. So it was tamed down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, when we rode with Kagami-san, who is the chairman of OLC, the telling question at the end was, how tall do you need to be for my granddaughter to ride? And so that was really, that was a driving factor to make sure it was family friendly, but it was a great endorsement of how much he enjoyed it. But Owen, really, you reinvented the entire cabin interior. It looks nothing like the StormRider.
Right, the StormRider is a great ride. I think that the one thing that I noticed was when you went into the pre-show area, it had a certain aesthetic and a color scheme. And when you turn around to go into the cabins, the aesthetic kind of continued on into the StormRider vehicle cabin. So I just wanted to make sure that you had a really strong distinction. So when you're in the Marine Life Institute pre-show area, everything's blue and nautical. But once you step into the SeaRider, everything was much more warmer in color and reds and pinks. So there's a definitive distinction between being in an institute as to an actual vehicle.
Great. This side of the room.
Adam Sharp. I was just curious, with the changing story, were there a lot of challenges with story beats and timing, and especially with the side views as well?
Yeah, one of the things we did inherit from StormRider was the show time. The OLC wanted us to try and maintain that for guest capacity. And so it was, throughout the whole lifespan, it was this crazy pull and push because, oh, I need just 3 more seconds here. Well, then I have to take them out from somewhere else. And then with our multiple chapters, although the chapters are different length, any chapter that could swap out had to be the exact number of frames as its companion chapters. So yeah, that was really a push and pull throughout the entire experience. And the farther in we got, the more, the less and less we could manipulate any of it.
And to add to that, one thing that we didn't mention was, as a repeatability factor, when you sit in the front of the cabin, you have this intimate connection with the characters. But when you sit in the back, then you get this fully immersive sensation. So we realized that that's a big surprise, that we had another factor of repeatability in that form.
Hello, my name is Triet, and I really admire the StormRider new transformation, and I think the SeaRider vehicle is the cutest thing ever. So I guess my question for you is, when you were adding all of those screens around the seating area, how did you design the media to sort of fit the perspective of all the people sitting around the room and sort of like have it skewed to have the perspective actually make sense to everyone sitting in
It's a great question because, of course, the media is the same for no matter where you're sitting in theater. So we did quite a lot of testing to find out where was sort of the optimal place to put the camera. And as you might guess, basically it was essentially the center of the theater, of the vehicle, so that wherever you were, it didn't get too compromised. But it is a funny thing because the main window, you're looking straight ahead, but actually StormRider is a proscenium. The screen is actually separated from the vehicle, and there's a frame in front of that. And so depending on, even sitting in the front to the far left and far right, there's actually additional front window that you can see that you can't see, say, if you're sitting in the back. And so we had to make sure that characters never popped and showed up simultaneously on the front and the side windows. So there was a lot of math. Actually, Tony Apodaca, who's our supervising technical director, is here. He could really explain it to you. So after this, you can go find him.
All right. We've got time for one more. I think it goes over on this side.
Hello, my name is Wasif El-Karoof. Congratulations to both teams on your accomplishments. My question is for the Nemo and Friends team. I'm very curious as to the transitions between the scenes. You mentioned in Star Wars, they've got hyperlight and you could hide the transitions that way. I'm curious, was there a unifying theme or model you've found to apply to each transition, or was it very much a contextual basis between each scene?
Yeah, it was really unique scene to scene. We didn't want, the first thought was, oh, we'll do some kind of bubble wipe. And we said, no, we really want it just to feel continuous. But when you're in a three-dimensional world, even an imaginary one of the Nemo world, if you've taken a journey and you've ended up here, and then you take a journey that ends up here, but a different chapter ends there, but then both of them have to be able to connect to the next one, there was this crazy space because then lighting, the bubbles that are in the water at the moment that you're transitioning from one to the other, all of that had to look continuous. That's why I say every discipline had to basically solve for that really weird and tricky problem. But it started with really at the CG camera level of figuring out, okay, how do we basically connect these spaces that don't actually all connect in the same environment?
And what's really great about that is, when you watch a movie, there's great storytelling, but you're seeing everything from a third-person perspective, and everything's two-dimensional. But we really thought about a lot of the scenes, and especially like the touch pull scene. What would it be like if you're actually in the movie, experiencing that for yourself, and those side windows? We really focused on the immersion and being able to have you as one of the characters within that film.
And that was so amazing. While we were right near the end and we were doing a lot of test and adjust, I was sitting and watching the show after show, and then I was watching one of the shows and I kind of knew what was going to come next, and it went a different way, and I was surprised, and it was the first time that I kind of got to be a guest and feel like, oh, that's what it's going to feel like to come on here. Actually, you don't know which way you're going to go.
Excellent. Well, great. And so that was the last question. And just before these award winners of outstanding achievement in their categories leave the stage, just some of my observations and thoughts. And I kind of mentioned this before, but I would kind of grasp this opportunity of the people you're hearing from right now, faced with the challenging problem of repurposing and recreating a beloved attraction in one of the world's most beautiful theme parks, period, compared to the idea of creating something that no one's ever seen before, and the owner and the developer that said, you know what, we'll take the chance and we're going to do it, and we're going to drive the industry forward within our organization. And it's these types of challenges, be they engineering marvels of dynamic moving water slides that look impossible and unfathomable, to taking our beloved friends from the ocean off the big screen and putting them underwater with us at a different scale than we've ever experienced before, is quite remarkable. So take from this the chance and the understanding that possible is very plausible, or impossible is very plausible, if you just work hard and you get it done. So congratulations to our winners. We'll see you tomorrow night. All right? 10? Okay. Well done, son. Good job. Good job, Roger. Rainer, fantastic. Mr. Chris, good to meet you. Okay. And they'll do a photo with you. All right, guys, this is an actual 10-minute break. So get up, get out, and come back in 10 minutes.